Okay, Senator Roz Baker, 5th District, 18 years in various leadership positions, Chair of the Senate Commerce and Health Policy and Consumer Protection Committee, and a big supporter of our West Maui Hospital. Roz, thank you very much for coming.
Thanks. I asked Angus to join me for this part because we know that there are so many individuals in attendance tonight that are very interested in making sure that the tragedy that happened off of Honolua Beach doesn't ever happen again, and also that we don't have similar situations happening off of South Maui. So Angus and I have been working on a number of issues. I wanted to share with you the latest about replacing those swimming buoys, and then an initiative that we're going to be working on for South Maui. And then Angus has another idea to how we can really engage and make sure that our marine environment is safe for all of the users. Some of you may know that last year we had put in a measure to replace those buoys. With the funding situation, almost nothing got through. And so there was an attempt to try to go out and do the procurement and get the replacements here on Maui, to be put into the water. I spoke with Director Isla yesterday. He assured me that the 16 or so buoys that are needed for Ka'anapali waters have in fact been procured. They are on their way to our islands. Unfortunately, we don't have a warehouse that keeps some of these on hand. He also assured me that if he had to come over here and install them himself personally to make sure that we didn't have any other red tape to keep those buoys from getting into the water, he would. I asked him, I said, Director, may I share that with the West Maui community? And he said, of course. So I wanted to share that with you. Nothing we can do on a prospective basis is going to erase the tragedy. But Angus and I are both committed to making sure that it doesn't ever happen again. The other thing I wanted to share, because I sense that some of the paddlers and swimmers and canoe folks may actually be from South Maui, and Mary Kilty and Marianne Finstra from the county are here. They have asked, and they've given me all of the information I need, that Angus and I need to draft a measure. There's no buoys in South Maui, and Marianne was giving me the statistics for how much activity there is, and it's thousands and thousands and thousands of folks plying our waters. Well, if you're not familiar and you don't know the swimmers are there, and you're coming right out of the small, it's not really a small boat harbor, it's a launching ramp, then you might go too close to the shore. So with Mary's help, they've given us a schematic that shows where 8 buoys ought to go, starting right at the launching ramp and going up or going back, depending on which way your direction is, to Charlie Young Beach. So Rep. McKelvey and I are getting a bill drafted. He'll introduce it for us on the House side. I'll introduce it on the Senate side. That will put those coordinates in a piece of legislation so DLNR does not have to go out and figure out where they ought to go. The ocean people have told us. And then we'll also put in an appropriation amount, not only to procure the buoys and get them installed, but to have a beginning of a reserve for maintenance. This is something that I'm so glad people brought to my attention. I'm not really much of a water person. Angus is. So I didn't know that there was a need on South Maui. So we're going to make sure that both South and West Maui are taken care of, and that we can have as safe an opportunity for residents and visitors to enjoy our beautiful waters as possible. And now Angus has another part of the approach to help make sure that our waters are safe. Angus?
Thank you, Roz. Well, as Roz said, you know, that is the immediate need, but there is long-term needs in the buoy program and swimmer safety and recreational use that need to be addressed. Part of this arose because basically there was no plan in place to look forward and make sure that when buoys are broken loose or their maintenance is required, that the money is there in advance so that everything is in place at all times. That's a huge key component. Luckily, in the legislation that was introduced, and I did the companion on the House side last year that's still alive, sets up a management program. Because as Senator Baker said, tragically it's happening all over the state. It's a complete systematic failure. And so we need to not sit back and continue to let it go. We've got to be proactive and develop this kind of program. The second thing is, in other states have seen this, and as I was reflecting upon everything, you know, I was talking to my staff about the frustrations. There's so many people in our community after the tragedy who contacted me who are out there every day with the experience of the water. They know how it works. And my fear is we have buoys out there, but we don't have enforcement. If we don't have eyes and ears and people out there to not only educate, but to help the limited conservation officers we have, then there'll be a false sense of security. So that is the other measure that Senator Baker is looking at. Other states faced with budget shortfalls have also implemented these programs. Basically, it's a Marine Citizens Patrol program. And what it does is it allows the states to use you, the community, to help us fill the gaps that we need. And not only, it's not an enforcement, it's a eyes and ears and education. It's an opportunity. There's a lot of users out there who are ignorant. And that's the other thing. They'll see the buoys. They won't even know what they're for. And we need your help. And this is a way, because if we rely on the government to refund all these, to restore all these positions, given the deficits, the council, and the unfunded liability, we might be waiting a long time. And we don't want to have this kind of meeting again. So that's why these measures are being introduced, is to both address the short term and the long term. But I'm handing out flyers. Mary's helping me. Tamara, that show the website, the legislative calendar, because this is my plea to you. I need your guys' help to push these measures through. We will set them up so the lawmakers know how important they are, but until they see the emails coming in and the phone calls from the community, that's when we risk not being able to move this and things like this happen. And so that's why my plea to you is to help us, you know, make sure that our colleagues, it's reinforced to them how serious. And you know what? The ironic thing is that this is happening in Honolulu, a place called Honolua Bay. They have the same thing. I've heard from users there who obviously read about the tragedy. They're excited about this marine program. They have the same issues. And they said, too, if you don't have those eyes and ears out there working for safety, you know, it could end up being something that does not give people the ability to use our oceans safely and coexist and prevent a tragedy like this from happening. So again, you know, we need your support. Senator Baker and I will be, you know, working with Mary and others, you know, letting you know, and also please use the information to track the bills. And then please also, if you have questions, contact us and let us know, you know, what your concerns are and such. Anyway, but just as an aside, we also have a lot of other things. The legislative session starts on Wednesday. Economy is focus number one. Glad the mayor's here. We're going to try to get the film credit going again. But I think the key thing is that we want to make sure whatever we create ensures that local jobs are created and local businesses benefit. And so we're looking at jurisdictions in Florida and other places where they have, you know, constitutionally tested local hire policies and are trying to add on to the credit that way. And that's going to create a lot of jobs, and that's kind of when productions come to town. As one guy from NBC said, it's $2 to $3 million direct spend in a community per episode, period. I mean, and they run a lot of episodes, and they know they have to put the money out to do it. What we're trying to do is make ourselves competitive with LA. So that shows you how the industry wants to be out here. But it is an incentive-driven business, and we need you, the public, to help us make sure that the legislation we craft will result in benefits for the community, not end up being a pipeline for, others coming in and taking the opportunity away that our people deserve. So we have other economic initiatives coming forward. You'll be reading about them in the Lahaina News, capital improvement projects. The main thrust is going to be, we have a lot of money that Senator Baker and I have managed to secure, despite the recession that is sitting in the system. The projects are not going forward. So we're taking a really hard look with Mr. Bruce Copa, the new Chief of Staff, who has 30 years private sector experience on making systemic changes. And the thing I want to make very strong is it will not be something that's going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Our environment is our economy. Public process is sacred to me. But there's a lot of places, dead water in the system, where the public good is not being served and where things are being held up. And if infrastructure fails, then our environment also suffers. So that is our thrust this year. We hope to have a better economic picture in March and maybe fund some more stuff. But if we can deploy the money that's already out there, it'll make a huge difference and a big impact in our community. So again, thank you all, aloha, and mahalo, and for giving me the honor to represent all of you over in Honolulu. Thank you.
I just want to add one thing. It's such a joy to be able to work with Angus, but it's also more important, it's a joy to be able to work with all of you. Because some of the measures that we put in for consideration, like with the mortgage foreclosure measure, we got lots and lots of feedback. With the domestic violence matters, we got lots and lots of feedback. The push for continued funding for our roadways, for our schools, for all of those things, it really is community driven. And like Angus, I am so blessed to be a part of this community and have the honor of representing not only the West Side, but also the South Side. So thank you for being there for us, for giving us your mana'o, for sharing information, and please, you can email us by going to our Capitol website, www.capitol.hawaii.gov. I've got some business cards in the back with my email on it and a few sheets that talk about some of the capital improvement projects we brought back. But this is a great turnout, and thank you all for the opportunity to be here. Aloha. Thanks, Don.
I understand that Tamara Paltin would like to say a few words while she has a captive audience here. Is that still the truth?
There's a lot of people here in support of the Gonzalez family and their tragedy, and they were requesting a separate meeting just to discuss the issues about the swim zone buoys. If it's tonight, that would be great. If not, as soon as possible. And they're requesting for Mayor Arakawa, Roz Baker, Angus McKelvey, Deidre Teagarden, and Ed Underwood, as well as Chairman Isla of the DLNR to come to address these issues. In 2007, we're aware the state had a budget surplus, and at that time there were already a lot of missing buoys. The guy that was tending the buoys, James Stegmuller, he wasn't getting paid, so he took the state to court and he fought the state until his dying day. And since then, there hasn't been anybody tending the buoys. One of the main issues that has been brought up is the current or the former buoys did not include the canoe lanes, and it really needs to include all of the canoe lanes from one to the end. And also Olowalu to ship Ironwoods or Oneloa Beach. But a lot of people they're just here just for that issue, and they can't think of any of other things other than that. I'm sorry to interrupt you guys' meeting, but this was the first opportunity since the tragedy to get the attention of the legislatures, and somehow I got up here to tell you guys that.
Thank you, Tamara. That's great.